What's going on, CrossFit Federal Way? It is Thursday, and while Thursdays are normally a makeup day / rest day / active recovery, all that sort of stuff, obviously in quarantine that may not work as well. If you're going to make up a workout that you've missed, I highly encourage you to do that. You can look back at the videos from Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday in order to figure out what you've missed and get the briefing for that there. If you make up that workout, post your score on the comment section of the video that you made up that workout. Now, I've gone ahead and programmed another workout today. Biggest thing I can advise on working out consistently throughout this and not necessarily having a dedicated rest day or whatever is listen to your body. So if you wake up and you're sore and you're beat up and you're tired and you're going, I don't know if I've got it in me to do another workout, it is totally okay to take a rest day. We should be utilizing rest days when we need them. The key there is listen to your body. There's a difference between not wanting to work out because we're being lazy or not wanting to work out because we know that another workout on top of how my body feels, may be too much. So only you know what that is. Trust your gut. If you can tell that it's like, well, I just don't want to do anything, so I'm not going to work out, don't give in to that, because that's where one day becomes 2 days, becomes a week, becomes a month of not doing anything. So doing something, staying on top of it, keeping that consistency is going to be super important as we face these coming weeks. But I want to talk about what our workout is today. And I want to make sure that I cover all of the scaled options for these, because I realized after posting the video yesterday, or for, Tuesday's workout, whatever day it was when we did pistols. Wednesday, today? Yes, that one. So when we did the pistols, I didn't talk anything about scaled options for pistols when I posted those, and I probably should have. So I'm going to make sure I cover all the scaled stuff in today's workout. So today, for Thursday, our workout is going to be a 15-minute AMRAP. Again, for those of you who are newer to all of this, AMRAP stands for as many rounds or reps. I guess you could say and reps. And as possible. So pulling from, when we look at the two different primary types of workouts that we do, whether it's time priority or task priority, this is going to be a time priority workout because my time is set and my work is up to me. So the way this one goes, it's going to start off with 5 handstand push-ups, 10 box jumps. Notice that I didn't put a height on the boxes. Why? Use what you have. If you don't have a box, we're going to talk about tuck jumps as an option or anything else like that. But some of this is about being creative and using what you have at your disposal. So 10 box jumps, 5 toes to bar or leg lifts as a no equipment needed version of that. And then 10 box jumps. Again, the caveat here is you're going to increase your handstand push-ups and your toes to bar by 5 reps each round. So my first round might go 5-10, 5-10. My second round is going to go 10-10, 10-10. Third, 15-10, 15-10, so on and so forth. You keep going and increasing those reps until that 15 minutes runs out. You then record the total number of rounds that you finished and the number of reps that you were in on your last round. And I want to make that clear that on this one, it might be easier, scratch that. It might be easier to do total reps in order for tracking this one so we can see that stack up better. So instead of the rounds, we're just going to do the reps today. Add up your total number of repetitions at the end. Yes, that requires you to do some math, but we'll figure out the score that way. So total number of repetitions completed at the end of that 15 minutes. Again, increasing those handstands and toes to bar by 5 every single round. So let's talk a little bit about these movements. Starting off with the handstand push-up. So the handstand push-up itself If you have a spot in your garage, in your house, someplace where you're okay or comfortable kicking up on the wall and doing handstand push-ups, if you're capable, then do that. So the standard on your traditional handstand push-up is you're going to start off in that extended position, head comes down and touches the floor, and then you're just going to go all the way back up to fully extended. So you can do them strict, you can do them kipping, as I just did with that kip, but looking for a good solid extension at the top. So if I'm finishing a handstand push-up, I should be in the same position that I would be in an overhead press. If my hands are up in front, or anything else, or if my elbows are bent, or whatever, if I'm in a position where I wouldn't be able to hold, say, a barbell over my head, I'm not in a good finished position on my handstand push-up. So a good thing to think about while you're doing that is when you're in the bottom and you're coming up to the top, think about getting your head back through your arms. So if your head's back here and you're looking at the floor, I'm sorry, but that's going to be a no rep every single time. So you want to make sure that you're in a good, solid position, that everything is nice and stacked for that handstand push-up. Now let's talk a little bit about our handstand push-up scale options. So if I have a box for my box jumps, I can always do this pike off a box. So I can bring my knees or my feet up onto a box itself, walk my hands back, and I'm going to bring my head down to the floor up towards my fingertips, and then press back up while continuing to look at the box. Again, still trying to get my head back through my arms at the top for each of those movements. Now, if I don't have a box, or if I do and that is too challenging, I can do the same thing but do it in a pike position. So, my coach so lovingly refers to these as Miley Cyrus push-ups. I'll let you determine why. But anyway, from here, I'm going to pike up, hips are higher than my shoulders. I'm going to walk my hands back, keep my legs nice and straight. I'm going to bring my head down, still shooting, get my head to touch the floor up towards my fingertips, and then pushing back up to the top. So again, working at getting a little bit of that inversion going and introducing a little bit different movement than, say, a standard push-up. Now, it would be okay to do a standard push-up in place of a handstand push-up as well, although it's not necessarily going to equate to the same sort of vertical pressing stimulus that we would get from a handstand push-up. If you were to do a regular push-up, hands are going to be about shoulder width distance apart, chest touches the floor, and then back up to full extension at the top. Now, other things that we can modify with, if I have dumbbells, or if I have kettlebells, if I've got two, or a barbell, now you could do this as a strict press. I wouldn't do it as a push press per se. I know we could do kipping handstand push-ups, but if I do a strict press instead, that's going to tax the same muscles that I'm going to use to press that bar. So doing a strict press, the times when you look around the gym and there's no equipment. Anyway, I'm going to snag an empty bar real quick. All right. So whether I'm using dumbbells, kettlebells, a barbell, anything else, if I don't have a place to kick up and get inverted, if I don't feel like I'm strong enough to get inverted and do a handstand push-up, bringing that bar up to that front rack position. In the front rack from a strict press, what I'm looking for is I want my elbow to be fairly stacked. My wrists are not all the way back here in this broken position. If I'm doing a front rack, like an actual front rack, then I'm not so worried about the stacked position of my wrists. If I'm doing a press where I'm not using my legs, I want to bring my elbows down a little bit more so they're more vertical. Notice they're still in front of the bar. So I'm not pressing from here. I'm pressing with my arms a little bit, my elbows a little bit in front of the bar. And my wrists are more in a stacked position. So instead of being all the way back here, I'm thinking about stacking my wrists a little bit more because that's going to recruit more musculature in my forearm and in my shoulders and give me more support as I press that bar up. So from here, I'm just going to drive up and finish in that good, solid overhead position. Again, this is if I've got a barbell. Now this could be an empty bar. I wouldn't make them very heavy because strict presses can be very taxing. And the goal here is to keep moving. So if I were to program this with a barbell, instead of handstand push-ups, I would say maybe a 75-pound bar. Yeah, I'd go 75 pounds for guys, maybe 55 pounds for the ladies if I was going for an RX. But really the weight is up to you. Again, a lot of this is doing what we can with what we have. Now you could take those reps, and if you've only got one dumbbell or one kettlebell that you can press up overhead, you can do that as a strict press and just do 5 reps on each side. That would double your repetitions. That's okay. If you're doing that, you might add a little bit more time. You may not get quite as far, but still count. If I've got my 5 handstand push-ups and I'm going to do 5 presses here and 5 presses here, still count that as 5 reps when you're adding up your score. That's going to give it, it's going to be more realistic to see where you got on the workout compared to everybody else, depending on how they're scaling. So hopefully that gives you a decent amount of options for your handstand push-ups scaled or using whatever equipment you have, given our space and all that other stuff. Let's talk about box jumps next. So if I have a box, now I can do this as a box jump where I'm going to have a 2-foot takeoff, 2-foot landing, and then stand up nice and tall. Really important that I'm standing up tall at the top of my box. I don't want to do a box jump where I do the thing, but I don't take that extra little bit of effort to stand all the way up and get my hips all the way open. That would be a no rep. If jumping is not your forte, or maybe the box you got is a little too tall for you to jump, step-ups are okay too. So that same idea of stepping up, still finding full extension at the top. I would alternate legs on each of those step-ups when I'm doing those as well. Now, if I don't have a box, what you could do is you can have an implement or something else that you could jump over. So let's say I have something that could be a good thing to jump over, but isn't going to be something that I'm going to jump on. What we're going for with the box jump is it's about an aggressive hip open. It's more about the jump. It's not necessarily about the height. We want to have that explosive hip open take place. So I get the same thing whether I'm doing a jump over something or a jump onto something. So even though this is not near as high as that box, if I treated it as a jump over and just did that for every single rep, I'm still getting that same hip open that I get on my box jump. It's just going to be a little bit different. But is it still going to spike your heart rate? Is it still going to make the rest of the things that you're doing harder and more uncomfortable? You bet yourself it is. It's going to be rough. But the other thing too, if I don't have an implement that I can jump over, I can do what we call a tuck jump, which means I'm going to jump and I'm going to bring my knees up to my chest and try to get as much air as I can. And these are tricky because you can string them together pretty quickly, but they're really hard to breathe when you do it and you're trying to string them together. But I'll demonstrate really quick. So I'm just going to jump and I'm going to bring my knees to my chest and then come right back down. So it's an aggressive hip open followed by an aggressive hip close. But I'm getting more explosive because I need to have enough hang time to get my knees to my chest. Sure, I could open my hips by barely jumping off the ground, but that's not going to be that taxing. It's not going to be that hard. So adding that tuck to your jump is going to make you jump higher and harder than you'd want to normally, which again, that's what we're doing here. It's just learning to modify these things around what we have access to. And all of us can do tuck jumps. So if we don't have boxes or anything else like that, then this is something where the only thing I would be a little wary of is if you have a bad ankle, if you've got any known knee issues, or if you know, like, hey, I'm dealing with plantar fasciitis or something like that, that aggressive jump and land is going to be pretty high impact, so be mindful of that. But again, in the meantime, do your best. If you don't have the ability to do a tuck jump, find a stool or a step or something where you can do step-ups. Even if that step-up is really low to the ground, you're still going to be taxing those muscles a bit. And when you factor in those handstand push-ups and the toe to bars and the volume of what we're doing, that may not feel that hard, but it's gonna still get you good results in the end. You're still gonna sweat, you're still gonna breathe, it's still gonna feel like a good workout. So, that's our box jumps and our tuck jumps. Let's talk about toes to bar. Now for toes to bar, if I have a pull-up bar, which some of us do, some of us don't, and that's okay, but if I have a pull-up bar, you guys know the standards on toes to bar. If I get the camera over here. So, what we're looking for in the toe to bar is I need my heels to pass behind the vertical plane of that bar before every single rep. So when I'm hanging on the bar and I'm going for my toe to bar, I need my heels to come all the way back this way. I can't keep my feet out in front. I'll try to demonstrate good and bad. So I'll show you the good first. I'll show you the bad second. So I'm going to do 2 reps bad. I'm going to do 2 reps good. So watch my heels on the good reps versus the bad reps. So toe to bar, good reps. So you saw the heels go back behind that vertical plane of the bar. Now bad reps, and I'm not that good at doing bad reps of these. That sounds like an egotistical thing to say, but I will do my best. I'm going to try to keep my feet in front of the vertical plane and go into my next rep. I don't even think I got contact on that second one. So already a bad rep because my feet didn't go back behind, I hope. So be mindful of that. Now, if I don't have a place to do toes to bar, a couple different options you can do. If I have something heavy that I can grab onto. Okay. I'm going to use this upright to do the first scaled version of the toe to bar. And some of you are going to be really familiar with this because you use this in the gym all the time. But I'm going to lay down flat on my back. I'm going to get pretty close to where whatever I'm going to grab onto is going to be over my head. I'm going to grab onto that upright, and then keeping my legs straight, I'm going to bring my toes up, and I'm going to touch whatever it is. If what I'm holding onto is short to the ground or low to the ground, just think about bringing your feet up over your face and then back down. So if I don't have something stationary to grab onto, this is where the leg lifts come in. Now a leg lift is going to target primarily lower abdominals, which is going to get a good workout here with the toe to bar anyway. So I'm going to take my hands and I'll place them under my hips. So palms down under my hips, that creates a little bit of a lift under my hips. You can just make these a little bit more comfortable. And from here, I'm going to keep my legs nice and straight. I'm going to pick them up to where they're at 90 degrees. I'm going to push my toes towards the ceiling. So getting that little bit of flexion in the core, that little bit of resistance to pick your hips up off the ground or off your hands and then come back down to keep them nice and straight. Now you could, if the leg lift feels way too easy and that's the only thing you have the option to do, if you have something like ankle weights or something else like that, you could weigh your ankles down and make them a little bit more challenging. But what I'm going to say is that the first round is going to feel real easy at 5 reps. Subsequent rounds, as those reps build, the fatigue's going to set in and you're going to find yourself having a harder time with what may originally have started off as an easy movement. So that shows our options there. And then we go right back to our box jump. So let's go back to the board, just to reiterate, because there was a lot of talking between that. Again, 15 minutes. That's our time domain today. We're doing as many reps as possible. 5 handstand push-ups, 10 box jumps, 5 toes to bar, 10 box jumps. You're going to increase the handstand push-ups and toes to bar by 5 each round. So again, we got round 1 is 5, 10, 5. Round 2 would be 10 all the way down. Round 3. Round 4, I know this is redundant. So your rep scheme is going to go up. The box jumps at 10 reps stay the same every time. The handstand push-ups and the toes to bar, they're the only ones that go up every single round. So again, 15 minutes of that, and shoulders are going to feel it, legs are going to feel it, lungs are definitely feeling it. And depending on what you can do for your toes to bar, that core is going to get some work today too. So that is what we are getting ourselves into. I know it's a long video, it's a lot of explanation, trying to get as many bases covered for where people are and what people have as far as equipment goes. But this should be a good one today, guys. Anytime we can get any sort of gymnastics elements in there is usually going to be a, what's the word for it? Fun workout. But in all seriousness, it should be a good time. So, handstand push-ups, a little bit of box jumps, a little bit of toes to bar. It's Thursday. We're almost to the end of week 1 of 4 of this shutdown. And yeah, it's going to be a good day. Let's get after it.